Hey, welcome back, geometry students. In this lesson, we are going to be using deductive reasoning. Now remember, inductive reasoning, our old form of reasoning we learned earlier on, was from specific cases to general conclusions. Now we're going to take general conclusions and apply them to specific cases. Just like in letter A here. All the girls on the swim team are left-handed. That's a general statement about all the girls on the swim team. Larissa, a specific girl on the swim team, she is on the swim. She is a girl on the swim team. What can we say about Larissa? Specifically about Larissa, if all the girls on the swim team are left-handed, well, specifically, therefore, Larissa is left-handed. Does that make sense? So we're going from a general statement, and applying it to a specific case. Let's see how this works for other statements. When it is below 32 degrees for at least a week, the pond freezes. Hey, specifically right now, it has been below 32 degrees Fahrenheit for a week. So what can we conclude? Therefore, the pond is frozen. What about this one? When every answer on a math test is correct, a student will get a perfect score on the test. Michael, specifically Michael, got every answer on the last math test correct. Therefore, Michael got a perfect score on the test. When employees work more than 40 hours in a week, they get paid overtime. Specifically, Dominiqua worked 43 hours this week. What can we say? Therefore, Dominiqua will get paid overtime this week. Do you see how this works? This is the law of detachment. And what I'm doing with the law of detachment is I'm taking these general statements. Now notice that none of these were actual conditional statements. But it's so easy to turn these into conditional statements. I'll bet your brain followed along with this without us doing it. Now, all these could be turned into direct conditionals. All the girls on the swim team are left-handed. Well, I could say if a girl is on the swim team, then she is left-handed. And then if I do that, I make the hypothesis really clear. But the hypothesis doesn't really matter with law of detachment so much because I'm just restating the hypothesis here. Maybe it's clearer that I'm restating the hypothesis here. The thing that really does matter is the conclusion. If you ever get confused on what the conclusion should be for law of detachment, make sure you've rewritten your statement in if-then conditional statement form. All of these can be conditional statements. When it is below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, the pond freezes. I could just say, if it is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit for at least a week, then the pond freezes. It's really obvious what my conclusion is, and I can write a therefore conclusion because the hypothesis has been confirmed true for a statement that has been confirmed true that is generally correct, okay? And that works for all of these. All right, let's move down to letter E. Things are getting a little different. So in letter E, it tells us we're using the law of detachment to write a valid conclusion to the statements below. If the gift I bought for my cousin is a toy truck, then it has 4 wheels. Guess what? Specifically now, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say specifically, the gift I bought for my cousin is indeed a toy truck. Specifically, I bought the specific gift. What can I say about that specific gift? Then, therefore, important word to start off a conclusion, therefore, the gift has, or I could just say it, has 4 wheels. All right. Letter F. Now, we're going to move on to the law of syllogism. Write a third conditional statement using the law of syllogism. If Nafisa enrolls in an elective, then she will enroll in orchestra. If Nafisa enrolls in orchestra, then she will play the violin this semester. Violin, whew, that is a huge commitment. If it were me, I would rather play the flute. You know, the flute would not be as big as a commitment because with the flute, there's no strings attached. All right, so how do I change this into a third conditional? Well, if Nafisa enrolls in an elective, I can cut out this middleman statement because if it says then she will enroll in orchestra, and then if she enrolls in orchestra, this conclusion is a hypothesis of the next statement. So I'm just going to state the first statement as my hypothesis, and then the final conclusion as my conclusion. Here's what this looks like. If Nafisa enrolls in an elective, then she will play the violin this semester. This next one, what conclusion can be drawn from the following set of statements? If I oversleep tomorrow morning, then I will miss my bus. If I miss my bus, then I will be late for my appointment. I can cut out that middleman statement, can't I? And just say, If I oversleep tomorrow morning, then I will be late for my appointment. What law did I use there? Why, that is the law of syllogism, where we cut out the middleman statement and just state the original hypothesis and the final conclusion, because the middle conclusion and hypothesis lead right into one another. We could take for granted that those happen if I state my original hypothesis and my final conclusion. All right, now, for these last two, we have to choose the law of detachment or syllogism to write a valid conclusion for the statements. We have to identify which one we use. If a gumble, oh man, now we're making up words. If a gumble is hungry, it craves gloop. If a gumble craves gloop, he must hunt for gloop. All right, we don't even need to have a coherent real-world example here. We can figure this one out. If a gumble is hungry, I can get rid of the middleman statement here. The conclusion is the same as this hypothesis. He must hunt for gloop. Let's see if that's right. If a gumble is hungry, then he must hunt for gloop. That is the law of syllogism. Hey, there's a word that I'm going to be critical of Saxon here. The word then should really be in here. Then he must hunt for gloop. Because we need to be writing conditional statements from these, okay? So our conclusion should be in the form of conditional statements. We use the law of syllogism. What about this last one? If a vehicle is a unicycle, my preferred mode of transportation, if a vehicle is a unicycle, then it only has one wheel. This vehicle is a unicycle. Therefore, it has only one wheel. What law was that? That was the law of detachment, because we were taking a statement, an if-then conditional statement, assuming that we found a case, a specific case where the hypothesis was true, and then we needed to apply the conclusion of that conditional statement. These aren't that bad, are they? They're pretty straightforward and easy, and they're different enough that it's easy to keep them straight. You are now ready to do Lesson 21, numbers 1 through 30.